Yo, it's D.Arthur in the building. Talking to you guys today about why you will become invincible while you're on semen retention. And how all of your so-called problems that you used to face seem to evaporate, and you just become more of a problem solver when you're on retention. When you go on semen retention, you will become invincible. And I don't mean to say invincible as in some egotistical way. I just mean invincible as your mindset will have shifted to the point where nothing really can faze you that much. Of course you're gonna have problems. It's human nature to have problems. But the thing is, when you go on semen retention, your mind slowly forms to that of a higher vibration. And that who created you will have a similar mind like the Most High. If you're always grateful for things that happen to you, if you're always grateful, you're gonna be a close connection to the Most High. When good things come to you, if you're always grateful, you're gonna have a closer connection to the Most High. And when you have a closer connection to the Most High, when you're on retention, all these three-dimensional world problems, these human-like problems that everyone seems to face, it just seems that you conquer it instantly. It's some instant solution to something. This is the reason behind this is because your thinking has slowly mutated and formed into a greater vibe. You're thinking from a higher perspective about life. You're thinking from an abundant perspective about life. You're thinking that all things are possible. You're thinking that everything can be conquered. Everything is great. And when you have this mindset naturally, all the problems that you seem to face, they're gonna be like little pebbles that are thrown at you, and you can conquer them easily. But this only happens when you're on a longer day of retention and your vibe is at a very high rate. It's a very high rate. If you're naturally, let's say, in a good mood and you're naturally positive and you have a positive mindset, then naturally you're gonna get things done, and you're gonna solve problems, and things are gonna be a lot easier for you. Everything that you might have faced, the reason why problems seem to arise more when you're not on retention is because if you relapsed, you're going to be operating from a lower vibe. You're going to be operating from a lower perspective on life. And then bad things tend to come to people who look out for bad things. Good things tend to come to people who expect good things. This is how the world works. Because if you've relapsed, you're gonna have a fear consciousness. You're gonna think that everything. You're gonna be cynical. You're gonna operate in a cynicism type of way. You're just gonna think that nothing's good for you. Everyone's always trying to take advantage of you. You never get good breaks, and your life has always seemed to be doomed when you relapse. The reason why this is because you're operating from a lower vibration. You're operating from a human-like perspective, and this makes it a lot harder for you to solve problems. When you've retained for a long time, when you've retained for a little bit while, everything that seem to be very low seem to just quickly bounce. You're operating from a divine-like state of mind. And like I said, if you're operating from a higher perspective and you're always expecting good things to happen to you, and when good things happen to you, you're very grateful, and you're always carrying some sort of gratitude, then by all means more good things will come to you. The mind who is not grateful when good things come to him is usually not going to get more good things to come to him. because he's taking the good things for granted. So the more like you're on your retention, the more good things and the happier you will become, and then your invincibility will be ceased to nothing. Everything that happens, you'll start thinking from a higher perspective, and you'll start slowly rewriting the story of your life. Whatever you say about yourself and whatever you say about your life, more often than not, is usually what happens in your life. So just make sure that you're operating from a high perspective. You're operating from the grateful mind. You have an attitude of gratitude. And then more things like that will be added unto you. Also, on semen retention, there's going to be women who might even throw themselves at you. They might throw themselves at you. They might look at you as you're the answer to their problems. They might look at you like you really are put here to help them with whatever they're going through or something like that. This is how women will start treating you when you're on retention. I can't make this up. You'll notice that if a woman sees you and you're on a longer day of retention, she's probably gonna double look at you. She might even try to do everything in her power to get closer to you so she can talk to you. So she can basically be like, who is this man vibrating at a very high perspective? I want to get closer to him, and I really want to see what he really is about, because not many guys have that aura about them. A lot of guys have very dull auras. A lot of guys have are very victim mentality oriented. They tend to look at the problems instead of the solutions. They tend to think that the world is out to get them, and they're pessimistic thinkers. But the man who retains, he's gonna have an attitude of, he's gonna think that he's very invincible. He's very capable of doing things. He's very well-rounded, and he's very purposeful with his life. And this is what oftentimes or not women find more attractive than not. Your looks and your status and everything, that kind of gets your foot in the door. But when it's all said and done, it really matters how you act around her, your attitude and how you carry yourself when she's with you. And this is usually the deal breaker. A guy who has low status and who might not be as wealthy and who has below average looks might still get a higher quality woman than a guy who has everything but has a very poor attitude. A lot of guys think just because they have this and that, they have all these assets and everything, that they're entitled to, let's say, a woman. And that's sometimes not really the case, depending on what type of woman you're going after. Because there's some girls who only go out for the men who have, like, let's say, material abundance and stuff like that, and they don't really look at anything else. And I mean, if that's the type of girl that you really want to go after for, then by all means go ahead, no one's stopping you. But if you want, let's say, like a higher quality girl who looks at, let's say, like your attitude and how you carry yourself and how you, let's say, solve problems, and your let's say personality on how you carry yourself when bad things happen, this is what they usually look for when they're looking for, let's say, a mate and a provider type of mindset. So yeah, women will try throwing themselves at you when you're on retention. They're gonna think that, hey, this man is he looks like he's a very well-rounded individual, and he really looks like he has a lot of things in his life taken care of. And if you have a body that does the talking for you, that really helps you in the conversation. Because a man who has let's say, a V-taper type of body, who's been putting work in the gym, he's not going to have as much problems as a man who isn't taking care of himself. Because a masculine body subconsciously communicates to, let's say, women that he's a capable man who can take care of himself, and who actually cares enough about himself to take care of himself. But the man who actually don't take care as much of themselves, they're not going to be looked at as much as attractive as the man who does. So yeah, when you're on retention, you're going to have an invincible type of mindset. Problems will still arise for you, and you'll still have mundane problems like the next man. It's just that the way you perceive them and the way you solve them are going to be totally different. You're going to be operating from the creative mind, and you're going to be operating from a higher perspective mind, and trivial 3D problems won't faze you as much because you're operating from a higher perspective on life. Because your vibration, your mood, your positive mindset has taken over all the cells in your body, and now this is all you know. This is your default state when you retain. It's amazing how these things can happen to you just by, let's say, retaining your nut. But like, let's say the media and everybody, the media, they probably realize this power that men can have, but they just try to weaken them with all of the lust that we see in the media, so that you can really be thrown off and be trapped from your true power. Also, they say if you retain for a while, you're gonna get erectile dysfunction and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know anybody who's retained and has that, but you can research that yourself. So make sure you're retaining from a higher, from longer days, and you're gonna gain insight about your life, and you're gonna be operating from a divine like state, and trivial problems that you usually face won't be that much, won't harm you as much, because the way you solve problems are gonna be a lot better than when you relapse, and you're gonna think yourself as a victim when you relapse. So like, comment, and subscribe below, and we will see you in the next one.